If this isn't the creepiest Slenderman story that I've heard, then I don't know what is.
Police say the suspects were inspired by a character on a website.
Slenderman, a faceless ghoul.
Welcome back, guys. I just watched Beware the Slenderman. It's a documentary based on the true story of these two girls who stabbed their best friend just because they wanted to be proxies to Slenderman. Now, this documentary is about Morgan and Anissa, the two kids who did the stabbing. And, well, they look like normal kids, to be honest, but once you find out what happened, trust me, things are crazy. We get to learn a whole lot about them through their family and some of their friends. And also, this documentary has the word Slenderman in it. And are we going to see him? No, obviously not, because, you know, he's just a made-up story. What we do get, in fact, though, is how these girls ended up believing in Slenderman. There were scenes in this documentary where they were showing what they were looking at on the internet, which was kind of creepy, but like very interesting at the same time. In a way, this documentary kind of highlighted like how easy it is for kids to access anything on the internet. And it's true. I mean, there's so many things on the internet that we can look at and just believe anything because it's just there for us to see. I actually learned a whole lot about the Slenderman in this documentary because honestly, I don't know much about him. They talk about him in depth, like a lot of like the psychologists and like the professionals in the field of the mind. They do like a bunch of like Skype sessions and they talk about, you know, this issue. But if you expect this documentary to be like entirely about Slenderman, then it's not, because it focuses mainly on Morgan and Anissa. If you guys don't really know who the Slenderman is, he's basically like this large, thin, skinny guy with like no face who wears like a badass tux, who like hunts like on little kids or preys on humans. I think I really don't know much about him, but there's plenty of resources out there. Now, one thing that I really found interesting in this documentary was the interrogation from Morgan and Anissa. They literally held back no details about the stabbing. Like, I mean, it was so chilling to watch. Like, they had like no emotion at all saying what they did. Like, it was creepy, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe they went through all that stuff just to like prove to Slenderman that they had his back. Now, as far for the victim here, they don't show her at all. Actually, there's another documentary called 2020 Out of the Woods, which focuses on her end of the story, which is actually in a way kind of better for me because it's shorter. This one's actually 2 hours, and 2020 Out of the Woods is like an hour long, I think. But they explain, I think, everything in detail except like the whole Slenderman thing. They kind of touch a base with that. What I did feel bad about this in this documentary is the parents of Morgan and Anissa, because they feel so responsible because of this. They had no clue what was going in the back of their minds. Like, they blamed the iPads because they're like, yeah, you know, we got them the iPads and they were always playing on it, but we never knew what they were searching. Now, though this was really interesting, I had some issues with it. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good documentary to watch. It was very well directed and shot. The sound effects actually was really good and creepy because it added a bunch of like dark tone to the story. But usually when you watch documentaries about like a murder or a trial or serial killers and stuff like that, they usually make the main people in the story the victims. They want to make you think whether they're guilty or innocent, or they will try to make you feel pity for them or like hatred towards what they did. It just really focuses on the two girls. But it really didn't catch my attention as to, you know, like whether I felt bad for them or I'm like, hell yeah, they should go to jail or anything like that. In the beginning, they kind of just tell us what we need to know, which is, you know, the stabbing. And then after that, they kind of just break it down, you know, by topics, you know, the Slenderman, and then what happened in the woods, the stabbing and all those details, and then the trial or like the courtroom case that they had. But in the end, we really don't know what happens because this is an ongoing story. Like, this is actually taking place now. Now we get a whole bunch of like Slenderman imagery and like videos thrown into this documentary. Like, they pull like stuff from creepypasta, YouTube videos, but sometimes like it just felt like it was overplayed. Like, sometimes when they were like talking or something like that, I wish they would have rather focused on like the parents or like the family members or friends like talking. I think it would have been like added more like of a connection with the viewer. I really enjoyed this documentary. I just wish they could have like maybe cut it up in 2 different parts or 3 different parts. That way they could have like told the story a little bit better. I'm personally gonna give this a 3.5 out of 5. I think if you watch the 2020 Out of the Woods, I think you're pretty much covered as far as like everything that happened. This one just focuses more on Morgan and Anissa rather than Peyton, the victim. But if you're into creepypastas and the story of Slenderman, then you might want to watch this documentary. It is pretty interesting. They did throw in some other myths and legends just to compare to Slenderman, which is pretty cool because it made me interested in that. And I went ahead and looked up some of the things they talked about. And also after watching this, like, I had the Slenderman like stuck in my head, like just thinking about his stories, which was creepy. I kind of forgot about the 2 girls in this story, so I guess that's why I didn't like it as much. I was just more focused on the Slenderman. But, you know, what do you guys think of the Slenderman? Like, what's like the craziest story you've heard about the Slenderman? Like something from creepypastas or just like anything from online? If you want to leave like a scary creepypasta story of the Slender Man, or just any creepypasta story, leave them down in the comments. I personally like the tale of the Slender Man. It's very interesting, creepy, and I think he would make a great like scary movie someday. Who knows? But if you guys like this video, as always, you know, share, give it a thumbs up. If you guys like what I do, subscribe to my channel. But as always, guys, stay tuned.